So again, welcome back to me, welcome back to Thailand. True Blue Thai here from Thailand. Hope you're doing well. It is one at it here in Thailand, which is Sunday, and around about midday, and about 11 o'clock. So dear me. Dear me. You know, it's like a roller coaster, isn't it? You know, you go on the roller coaster, you go up, and you get the fury of the roller coaster. On Friday, we've got Mark Gay here. The rival fans are actually kicking off. We've got we've addressed our defence issues, and we're on a high. We beat Newcastle 2-0. We're St James's Park. Some VAR decisions didn't go our way, and then suddenly, but it didn't affect the thing, etc. The result. And for instance, we're on a high. And we're going to watch the Rags, who are in disarray, as per usual, disarray. Not the first year, not the second year, not the third year, not the fourth year, not the fifth year, 10 years in a row at least. And United are in disarray. So, for instance, I've never seen me or any other City fan as confident going into this game, this Manchester Salford derby, Newton versus Manchester City, in confident form. Never seen it. Great. We've got a better squad on paper. We've got a better squad on thing, but whatever. And I was thinking 3-1, 4-1. I'll give them a 1 because I've been nice. And then we did that. You know, honestly, for instance, if I was on the money there, on etc., I'd be running around like God knows what. I don't know. I'm so furious. I am furious. We could call it pep tactics. We could call it there was the basics of the basics of the basics of the basics weren't even done yesterday. And I'm not going to single any one player out. It was a collective, apart from one person, maybe two. Donna. Thank you, sir. Thank you for tuning up. Grazie, signor. Thank you, Donna. Anyway, and Khus also, for instance, tried. The rest, honestly, Turkey maybe a little bit. I ignored him when he came on a little bit. Riley, no, I'll say, because again, for instance, whatever he did right, did wrong. For instance, but the rest, exactly. For instance, hang your head in shame. The likes of Phil Foden, Erling Haaland, Rodri, unbelievable. Nathan Ake, for instance, I'm not going to blame the young lad, etc. Max. I think he was maybe overwhelmed with the occasion, but Doku, I think a lot of them, etc., to hold your heads in shame today, because quite honestly, you did, Bernardo Silva, you didn't turn up. You did not turn up at all, to that game. And it was probably, I was listening to the stream company again. I listened to a few cities content creators. If you think I'm going to go anywhere close to the mainstream Southern-based biased media for the next week, etc., forget it. There's no way, because all we're going to have to listen to for the next week or so is about United and the fact they turned the corner, the fact that Michael Carrick is the second coming. For instance, that's it, United, that's it. Sign him up. You'll have Neville. Oh, sign him up to the season. Sign him up. You'll have all that crap. But we've seen it all before. It's the same. But okay, and we all know what the end of the story is. United will turn up for a few games, do what they do, for instance, and end up because this is what they are. This is where they are. So, for instance, and to sit there and say, Carrick, that's it now. United have all done and dusted. United fans will do that. Because they beat City, but this is their cup final. This is the only thing they've got left to play for. I did say yesterday, I did get it wrong yesterday. On the 11th of February, Manchester City will play our 40th game. On the 28th of May, that'll be the United season 40th game and over, right? And even though they can get into the Champions League, and they're probably right, because then again, when looking at the results yesterday, I said my mate, a Liverpool fan, he went off to London, Liverpool fan, went off to good lad though, really good lad, big up Paul and his lady, and I'll be bro. So but he went off to Liverpool yesterday, £234, right? Okay, and to get a point against Burnley. Oh, Anfield. for instance, so and then Spurs lost again at home to West Ham. So Spurs fans are kicking off like crazy. Brentford who was creeping up the table. Was a goal against Chelsea, for instance. Chelsea get their first win over Leon Rossini. That's it now. That's it. They turned up, So, but again, Brentford, difficult team. But again, there we go. So the top four, from 4 downwards or whatever. It's win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. We'll see what happens to Newcastle today. We'll see what happens with Aston Villa today. So, for instance, and then you go to the top of the table. Then you go to look at Arsenal, right? Who you think we're gonna will do what Man City did, win at Notts Forest, etc. Get a point. A 0-0. I believe there's a handball decision. I'm not going to go into that. I'm sure Teta's going to be. I'm sure the mainstream Southern-based media are going to sit there and analyse every little bit of analysis, whatever, about the handball decision was not, what was not, blah blah blah, or Arsenal, blah blah blah, and VAR, blah blah. But when it comes down to Dallo kicking out at Doku, yeah, would he have made a difference? No. But it wouldn't have made a difference. I think because again, the team today was just piss poor. So talk about. I did talk about overconfidence, but I think maybe I was a bit delusional. Maybe I'm still on a high because of Gay. Maybe the way United are, the pants on the club. But again, I've always said this game saying, and I wish I'd used my brain rather than my Etheria. What's it called? I feel like a phalanger. Coming to Pattaya for the first time and thinking all the Thai girls love him. and your brain gets sucked all the way down to your penis, to your genitals, etc. Because you think all these Thai ladies love you, and they don't. They want your money. It's all about the money. So, for instance, you give it all away to this girl who says, "I love you," and it shows you a bit of attention for a week. And I think maybe it was I've gone on a high, and I was delusional to thinking that, for instance, we could just walk in there and beat them, and knowing that, for instance, are they a better team with Burma and blah 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 back in? Yes, they are. For instance, because they just come back from African Cup. We've got Nunes, I believe, Mo Mamouche back. So again, I'll come to the positives in a bit because I want to end up on a positive note. So, but I do believe, for instance, that So, for instance, if they would have been playing, would they have been, But all I know is that, for instance, it was half time. City were poor, right, and United were not 5-0 up. Okay, they had a couple of disallowed goals, right? But maybe that's got something to do with Man City's playing the high line and very good at in the back line. Keeping a straight line, etc. to keep United offside, or United can't stay onside. But the mere fact that why are United 5-0 up? How come United didn't win a 6-0? Now they will say, "Oh well, we scored so many goals," but you're offside, regardless. But why United were more clinical and we beat us more, and it just shows you where they are. They can sit there and pat themselves on the back and blah 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 and this, but why were they not absolutely? Why was that a 6-0 win? Because we were poor throughout the entire pitch. Okay, again there was I think Matt Lane was our only attempt on goal. And that is just shocking. We had a few over Bernardo Silva over the top of the ball, for instance. But again throughout the entire pitch, etc. We were just poor, absolutely. But United didn't win 6-0. They beat us 2-0. So what? But again, this is their cup final. This is the only thing they've got. They've got Arsenal next week. See how they got there. I bet they lose. But they'll go back to normal. But maybe they'll do something. I doubt it. But but this is their thing, okay, and they'll dine out of this for the end of the season. Well, we beat you. Man City could go and win the quadruple because that's still what's available to us. But with United, they won. That's it now. That's their, the maximum they will get. The maximum they'll get is a Champions League spot. So their season will, will be the Champions League. Maybe the best they can do is beat Champions League and beat City. And I'm sorry, if you go back to a good 12, 20, 50, certain amount of years, etc., that was where Man City were. So okay, so that's it. If they continue, playing for Carrick and everything, blah blah blah, and they go off. But to sit there and say United have turned the corner, I don't think so. Let's just wait and see. Because again, they were played against a poor Manchester City side today, and the worst Man City side I've seen playing in since. With Pep Guardiola's career, as it were, time at Man City, one of the he had the top 10 worst games. I think or the top 5, I would say that was definitely in it. Everton 4-0 was a goal in his first season, etc. That was probably also comes to mind. But to sit there and say that, for instance, United have turned the corner and that's it. But no. The team, I'm gonna go off by memory. What's it called? Donna. One thing we heard, Nunes was got the flu, and I'm just like my partner. What's it called? The ban on all last night, so I got a sniff this morning. Anyway, so I've got so Nunes was got the flu or whatever, a bit under the weather, so he couldn't play. Which was also, we just realised how good that guy's playing. Because again, for instance, but he put in Rico Lewis there, and that was a massive L by Pep Guardiola, because he said, quote, previously in an interview on that Lewis cannot play as a defender, he's a midfielder. So why you put in defence? When you're looking at O'Reilly on the bench and you've got Ryan Ignore, a left back, a proper left back on the bench. I don't get that. Please explain that one to me. And Ryan Ignore, when he did come on, etc., he did make things a little bit better, and also he had a couple of he did go forward, so I don't get that at all. So what you should have done is played Kuzinov maybe on that side, and then either have Aki or put O'Reilly in the centre, partnering, drop Nathan Aki, etc., and put in Ryan Ignore, for instance, in his proposition as a left back. Because that's what he is. So why the hell did you not do that? Put Nathan Aki in, which was far too slow. So that so the entire back line were playing a 90s. Sorry, I did say 70s. A 19-year-old kid, etc., from Max, etc., Kuzinov, etc., who played well. But against Rico Lewis is not a proper right back, etc., and Nathan Aki was far too slow. So the back line was just terrible. I'm sorry, even though, again, they pushed up a bit good, but they kept United offside a few times. But, and again, we could have done things better. Ryan Ignore should have been on for Nathan Aki. He's the proper left back, etc., and he's got pace and he can go forward. Nathan Aki can't. I know you're feeling sorry for him because he wants to play in the World Cup and he might leave. Well, if that's the case, that means we've just got to suck it up. For instance, but I want, for instance, you can't have Nathan Aki. Maybe he's got to come off the bench. He can't start. Clearly, for instance, he can't. And so that was just ridiculous. Midfield, Rodri by himself. Rodri had a very poor game. He did not good. Nico Gonzalez probably still out with his knock. Hopefully he'll be back soon. But for instance, he clearly Rodri had a bad game. He also was left by himself as well. While Bernardo Silva went walk around, and even though Bernardo Silva tried, huffed and puffed, he was good. He was poor, and then Rodri, and some of it where you normally I normally am expecting Rodri to spray the passes, and do things, etc. He and he lost the ball, he was poor, and I just and again, for instance, there was just no excuse. And then you got Foden up front, and in front of him, etc. He just. And it didn't do anything, and again, for instance, it's a worry, and he started off. He had a bad season last season. He started off well this season. We got the support. He had a smile on his face. He was scoring. He he knows the rags. He hates the rags just as much as I. And then he scores a blinder against in the the Etihad against the rags. Playing with a smile on his face, and then now he's dropped off again, and which is worrying. But we need him. We need you, Phil. Come on, mate. Put down the fishing rod, etc. Now come on. And I love the interview he had, who he did, etc. Where he talked about his vision and his son and his commitment to football, that kind of thing. But and then for instance, Doku on the left, what's it called? I was saying, take on your man, for Christ's sake. I know they were doubling up on him, but so it was just so bad. It just felt so bad. For instance, he just didn't seem to want to attack the players, but the team, etc. For instance, United or whatever. And they kept losing the ball. We got just terrible. But I hope he's okay after that shocking challenge by Dallo, and what's it called? Maybe that's a tactic. Maybe he's still hurting from that. I don't know. What's it called? That maybe that affected the game. He did come off. And early the big man at the front looked knackered, looked tired. I don't think you should have brought on Mikasa, right? Maybe not. Again, for instance, I'd rather have seen Makadu coming on, or Eddie or whatever, that long young lad, etc. Who's got bit more about him, etc. than Mikasa a little bit. Even though Mikasa's a good player. But but it just shows you our Tiana Reinders should have come a lot earlier. He was a lot better, for instance, by one across the goal. But other than that, for instance, so he should definitely come on. We should have definitely made 4 substitutes in half time. Rather than the 2. But no, I would just disappointing. The whole thing is disappointing. I'm just going to draw a line on it. The fact that Arsenal did drop points again. Let's talk about the positives. Okay, right. United, have your soiree, have your day in the sun, etc. Your season's over, regardless. Your maximum you're going to get is top 4, etc. And we expect it. You'll win a few and lose a few, and Carrick, etc. Blah blah blah. And but you can sit there swanning around. But okay, right. Let's put it into context. Man City's got to go on from this, right? We're going to go to Northern Norway, for instance, where they're going to play Bodø Glimt, get a win out of that one. That'll probably guarantee us top 8 in the Champions League. United are not in the Champions League, so there we go. So and if we don't do that, even if we get a point there, for instance, we can still do it against Galatasaray. So we've still got 2 games to get 3 points, I suppose, 4 points. Out of it. What's it called? At home to Galatasaray, so to get in top 8, whatever. So we don't have to play an extra game. And the Champions League, we'll go on from there. Newcastle 7. We've got the second leg to come at the Etihad Stadium. For instance, Newcastle have a bad thing about time at the Etihad Stadium. They've got to come back. They've got to open themselves up. They've got to score 2 goals and to take it to a tie. But I more than I expect Man City to win, and then we'll go to Wembley. When United are not going to go to Wembley. Okay, so for instance, the next one is we've got Salford or the Devils. What's it called? Gary Neville, the English flag hater. For instance, the unpatriotic man hates English flags. For instance, him and his blah 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 blah. The failed manager who spends all the time criticising other managers when he had an opportunity in Spain, etc., to be a manager, him and his brother, and failed miserably. But we're supposed to be sat there listening to what Gary Neville's got to say about managers. So he's the real he's the fail. How we can sit there and listen to Gary Neville yap about managers when he's a failed manager himself. So for instance, we'll play his crummy side, etc., or Swindon, and then go into the 5th round of the FA Cup, which United are not going to do. So we're still in 4 competitions, the rags. Arsenal was going to drop points, okay, but it's only 7 points. It is achievable. We've still got a lot of games, and there's still going to be ups and downs. We've got Matt Gahey coming in. We've got Ruben Dias coming back. So for instance, so hopefully our defence will be better. I expect Nico Gonzalez will show up midfield, so for instance, and then we got Omar Mouche coming back from AFCON, so we'll give Lina Haaland a list, okay, and so we can have a proper left back, and Nunes coming back, and then we'll have Gnori and whatever. So it's not all doom and gloom at all. We will go on, Manchester City. We will go and can still win for the quadruple. United can't. United won't. The max they'll get is top 4 max, right? And with the tips of the other team, they might. But the fact is, and that's it. And but their season's over, done and dusted, and they can sit there and have a masturbate over for the fact that they did what Man City were doing years ago when we beat United 3-1, etc. And we thought, oh, yeah, blah blah blah, and then but it meant really the grand scheme of things, because at the end, if you look at the big picture, the grand scheme of things, losing to United is a bad blow. Considering, and because we were looking at catching Arsenal, that was the main thing, catching Arsenal. It wasn't beating United. Well, it was, slapping them around, but beating Arsenal. That was the most important. Getting points on Arsenal. That was the biggest thing for us, because we lost because we didn't beat to catch up against Arsenal if they dropped points as far as to which they did. Okay, and that is probably the biggest killer. Not because of the fact that we lost against the Rags and we got to listen to them. Talk about the world's biggest club. The fact that they are, for instance, we lost ground again where we could have made ground on Arsenal for the title. But again, the season's not over. Football is very topsy-turvy. It's like a big massive roller coaster, pluses and minuses. Maybe I got a bit too carried away. Maybe I was on cloud blue moon because of the gay Heath sign, etc., and watching the meltdown of football fans. And I saw again, for instance, I saw every fan apart. I didn't see Burnley or Everton, etc., or Sunderland, but I did saw all the top 10, etc., fans moaning and groaning about Man City getting gay. So, for instance, but we got things to look forward to. Arsenal, United don't, right? That's it. And they can just sit there and swan and about Man City. And if you're in Manchester, probably be, or in London, more like London. That's where most of their fan base are based. And and Sun-based bias, Sun media will sit there and cry. Jim White, I'm sure, will have a big massive party on again. I'm sure, for instance, Danny Murphy will have a chat. Simon Jordan will have and for instance, Goldstein will have a go, and Crookie will have a go. And all these United fans or United lovers, etc. Oh, blah blah blah. All the TalkSport 10 of presenters of United fans will sit there and talk about it. And I'm sure the knives will be out for Manchester City because we've got Gahey. Because in the day we've got Gahey and they're just jealous about it because they're not Manchester City. We'll move on, okay? And we've got bigger and better things to play for. They don't. So that is my high. Knowing that Man City will move on and we have better things to play for, and we will, get back, because we will. The players probably will look at themselves and go, "What the hell did we do?" So okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna end on that. So I've got my iPad here, things like that, and everything. I was gonna look at that and look at to talk teams, but no, I'm not bothering. I'm just gonna go from the heart of the way I feel. Anyway, guys, gonna love you and leave you. True Blue Tie from Thailand. Like and subscribe. Tell me what you're thinking. What's on your mind? How you think? You got to look on the positives. We'll move on. We can still win at silverware. They can't. Okay. And regardless of the mainstream Southern-based bias media and bam today, let's go. We can. We've still got a great position where we can win things this season. Where their maximum they'll get is Champions League. If that. If Liverpool, okay. Guys, gonna love you, leave you. True Blue Tie from Thailand. Like and subscribe. Tell me what you're thinking, what's on your mind, and I'll be back tomorrow. I've got the ladies today. We've got the ladies in the against Bournemouth in the FA Cup fourth round, the women's FA Cup fourth round. I look forward to that. The ladies are doing proud, top of the league at the moment. 6 points. Well, at least we win one league at least. And but I'll be watching the ladies today. Hopefully we'll get through to the fifth round. That'll cheer me up a little bit. Guys, gonna love you. Leave it. True Blue Tie from Thailand.